So, welcome back to the Theatres of Dreams. This is your extra time edition, and you have a slightly blurry eyed Mr. Bars from Bars Towers, and you have Richard Irvine coming in as well. And I am Rod Maxwell. Guys, I've got to start off by asking you, do you think the season now is panning out? Is there much jeopardy left, or do we think it's getting quite settled as to what's going to happen?
It's massive jeopardy left. It's massive, especially down at the bottom. And I still don't think it's done and dusted at the top either. I think Dom's right. We said previous weeks that things can change very, very quickly.
Yep.
So, there's something like 3 games left, isn't that right?
Yes, I think we've got four, which is, yeah, look, there's always, until it's mathematically impossible, there's always hope. And that's why we love this game. There's always hope. And if you don't have that, there's no point being a footy fan. There you go. There's my mic drop moment in the first 5 minutes.
Well,
I'm off. There you go. Have a good setting.
Hope gets a bit difficult after so many years.
I think actually referencing that game that Dom will have to remind me the two teams where they were going to get into the football league and one team thought it was all over and yet it went down the
Rochdale
other
and Exeter.
and yet it went down the other end. So it just shows you really we shouldn't be discussing the Arsenal of the league champions yet because anything can happen.
I think. Look, it's this last week has been a seismic shift of an advantage to Arsenal, no doubt. No doubt. And I've been playing it down, I have for weeks that I'm not saying we couldn't win it, but we've always been chasing. They kept opening the door. Of course, we did get level with them exactly on the same games after we beat them. But fundamentally, it's about the 38 games and getting it done consistently. And I've said all year that we can win it. Of course we can because we've got the pep element. We've got some great players. But we've always looked like a team that's just missing something to get over the line. Again, we all know what you need to get over the line. So as long as it's mathematically possible, but I do feel like the team chasing, like would have been the case for Liverpool's and Arsenal's in the past.
Mm.
I feel like I'm that fan base this year. But of course, anything can happen. We've got loads of examples of that. But the Everton game on Monday night was you get those wild games. It reminded me of that famous Crystal Palace Liverpool game when you had a 3-3 when Suarez was there and you got a 3-3 down at Selhurst Park
Mm.
and ultimately you let us back in and we went and won one of those tight ones when we won the league. I can't remember which year that one was, but
Yeah.
it had a very similar ring to that where the game just got out of control. We didn't control it. Whereas I think if that had been Arsenal, they go 1-0 up and they would have just suffocated Everton and it would have become a dour second half. Whereas we couldn't really control it, could we? And obviously we had a 20 minutes of madness when our defence forgot that they could play football and it just went mental for a while. And that's
A
just
very
changed it.
a very unusual mistake for Mark Gahey, wasn't it?
So, yeah, I mean, he's obviously had a load of hate this week and she's absolutely ridiculous. And, I don't think we should even really give those idiots airtime about all the racist comments he's had and just terrible stuff, isn't it? It doesn't get any better at times. But that lad has been impeccable. He's a mountain of a player and a bloke, and he just talks so well, and he's so humble, and a lot of the City fans want him to be the next captain, to replace Bernardo. I don't mean the main captain at City. We always have like about 5 captains. That's how we do it. I don't necessarily mean he's the number one club captain, but one of those to replace Bernie, he would be the obvious choice because he just leads so well. But the game, you cannot deny, an absolute howler. And it wasn't just the back pass; it was all the way through the game. It
Yeah.
felt like the moment and the occasion just got to him, which is really unusual because if you picked any player to say who's going to just mentally like freeze a little bit, you wouldn't have picked Margate. You just absolutely on that pitch, he would have been the last player you'd have picked. But he actually through the game was very tentative with his passing because I was obviously watching it in detail, and he got rinsed a couple of times by the right winger. I've forgotten his name, the tall lad who was very effective for Everton, and he kept getting caught out of position. And then obviously then Kushinov alongside him, who's been absolutely immense. he wobbled a little bit because ultimately
Yeah.
Mark Gay is the leader of the two. He's the vocal one, right? So we just had that moment where, and then the back pass, you could see in his face, he just went,
Oh,
if you look at the rerun, but all the way through that game, I have to be honest, he's a brilliant player, but he was terrible. It's just something that happens in football. But you're not going to go, oh, we're not going to win the league because of the Mark Gay slip. It isn't quite the Gerrard slip. It wasn't that we've given the league away. We've never really been in control to win that title.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not quite the same as the Gerrard one, but they will look at that Gay incident and go, that was the moment. But I could give you loads of moments like that where we blew it against Tottenham. You know what I mean? There's loads of games where we've ultimately given too many points away.
Well, you did well to come back into that to get the point, didn't you? I mean, if you saw how many of the fans were leaving, even Noel Gallagher seemed to leave. All hope was lost.
Well, I, as a City fan, I went with my daughter, and on 82 minutes, and we're 3-1 down, and she's been loving life. First away game at the most fantastic stadium, beautiful, beautiful place. Horrific to get away from, by the way, parking wise.
Was it?
Gee, if you ever go, please use public transport. It is because obviously Liverpool's hard enough to drive through with a zillion traffic lights anyway. But because it's right on the docks, on the front of the water, it's just very difficult to get away. You walk, and then it took me hours to get away. I mean, I'm 30 miles away, and it took me 3 hours to get home from after the game. It was nonsense. But as a place, stunning, right up there with Spurs.
Aesthetically, it's beautiful, isn't it? It looks like a UFO's landed by the docks.
Yeah, it's good. It contrasts with the old buildings of theirs on the front and everything. It's right by the Titanic Hotel, right next to it. So yeah, no, they've done a brilliant job of it. It's a great stadium. It does have an atmosphere as well. I don't buy
Does
this.
it?
Yeah, I don't buy that at all. It's not Goodison, but also let's remember Goodison. I couldn't even get my knees behind the seats, and you'd get vertigo looking down. I mean, it had its day, but it can't create that cauldron of noise in the new stadiums as the old stadiums. But because it was a 3-3, the atmosphere was there. They were up for it. They wanted to win.
I know it's beautiful from the outside. Because I want to talk about this while we've got the opportunity. But what was your impression of the stadium once you passed the entrance and the facilities and the pitch and the stadium and the everything about it? How would you describe it?
Yeah, seating area with the standing bars. Obviously, I'm in the away corner, right? So you're going to get more noise, more atmosphere. We're all standing up, right? So I probably get the best of it as an away fan, if I'm truthful. The view is a bit like United. You're in the corner, looking down, and because of the size of the stadium, you get a great view of the pitch. You're not too low down. I mean, I was sitting obviously just slightly higher up, so it gave me a really good view down on the pitch. So I could see the whole game. But I mean, I'd always want the catering to be quicker and better and pull the pints better, that sort of stuff. But yeah, as an occasion, I'd highly recommend it. It's good, really good. Done a great job of it. But
let's get back to the league table,
Yeah.
okay? Because we could talk stadiums, but we're at a massive point in the season. So currently, Arsenal have 3 games to play. You've got 4 games to play, Dom. There's a 5-point difference. And who do you think has the? I mean, it's a race between the two of you. Clearly, how do you feel about let's look at their running. So they've got West Ham. West Ham are challenging to stay up, and it's a derby, difficult. Then they go to Burnley, Arsenal host Burnley on a Monday night at 8:00, and then their last game in the league is Crystal Palace away, and I think Crystal Palace are safe, aren't they? So. But that'll be also the Crystal Palace manager's last game. So,
but wait a minute, Rodney. What about this Europa League final?
That's the very last game. That's after the season, I think.
Right. So, really, Palace, you could say, would be thinking more about that game. So, to me, the crucial one got to be the West Ham game.
It is. It's their next game. It's Sunday, the 10th of May, 4:30. It's a huge game. Absolutely huge game. And if you're looking at the table, West Ham are it's between Tottenham and West Ham at the moment for third
Yeah.
place
Yeah,
or third from
West
bottom.
Ham have got to win.
We've got to win. So there's a huge amount of jeopardy in that. So they win that game, and you think to yourself, okay, the rest of the run-in sort of looks after itself
Mm,
somewhat.
mm.
Then let's go to City. So City play at home against Brentford on Saturday evening. Brentford, who are safe, are they?
Oh
They're
gosh,
after
yeah,
they're after
they're right.
guys are after Champions League.
Yeah. So it's just my memory, guys. Sorry.
It's the top six. It's the top six. Remember, so that's not easy. They're on real good form.
So and then you've got Crystal Palace at home.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, you've got the FA Cup, you've got Chelsea. Chelsea, 6 defeats in a row. I
yeah.
mean, obviously it's the FA Cup, but at the moment Chelsea are the worst, the worst trending team in the league. Then your last, you've got Bournemouth away, and
Hmm.
then your last game is Villa at home.
The odds are at best 90-10 in favour of Arsenal.
I
They
think
are
so.
right.
Yeah,
Even if we'd have beat Everton, they still were probably 70-30 to be truthful. Now,
Yeah.
Jeremy Doku's mountain of a performance, those two worldies. I mean, if he's not got two goal of the season contenders there, gee, me. I mean, they're absolute flyers from both feet to just give us that point. You could argue if you're positive for City, it's not changed anything because Arsenal still need to win 3. Had we'd lost on Monday and Jeremy hadn't done that with the last kick of the match, then it was, you're talking 99-1 in favour of Arsenal because they could lose at West Ham and it still wouldn't matter. The Burnley's going to be, no disrespect, easy. And Crystal Palace are going to be getting ready for Europe. They
Yes.
don't give two hoots about the league. They proved that last week. They got battered by Bournemouth, I think it was 3-0, and then the manager Glasner came out after and went, "Yeah, but we've got one of our cup finals on Thursday." He made it very clear that they're safe. They're not going to finish in the top half, but they've got a chance to win a European trophy. That is, and he gets it's all about that. So Palace are there to be taken by City, and we've played them as well. So I think they'll just lose every game in the league. Well, Palace will. So it's 90-10. It's all about the West Ham game. I don't think even a draw's enough, lads, because if it's a draw and it's a goal difference thing, Arsenal have already got +4 on us, and then they've got Burnley and Palace.
yeah.
I think even if West Ham pull off a win, I still think Man City have still got to probably win all their matches. So it's still very tricky, I think.
Bournemouth away, because of this thing with I've forgotten why, but because there's a 6th spot opened up for Champions League, you've now got Brentford, Brighton, and Bournemouth, and because of Chelsea's disappearing act, you've suddenly got the 3 Bs all challenging for Champions League positions, right?
I know.
So we've got 2 of them. Brentford on Saturday. Let's say we win that, right? Let's just say we win that. Bournemouth away. You don't get much at Bournemouth away, guys, and they're flying. And there's another manager that's leaving this summer, so they're on a high. The Villa game, I would say, after they did really well last night and battered Forest 4-0.
Big result.
That again, actually, I think that's okay because they've got the European final to think about. I'm not, they've got to rest players. That's far more important. They've got Champions League. So I think this West Ham game has got to be a win. But actually, I think Rich makes a really good point. Even if that is a win for West Ham, do we actually see City winning all the games? Because we're still brittle. This is why we're not top. There's still a little element of inconsistency in game management that we do not have. And that's why we got bullied by Everton. That press, they could smell blood and we crumbled. Nico Gonzalez, love the lad to bits, but is a yard off Rodri. And so he kept getting the ball nicked off him. When Bernardo, they didn't, you're relying on what? They're not quite ready. And the one thing that gets forgotten all the time, you talk about experience, and everybody's default is, well, City have been here before. They've got all the experience and the calmness. Pep has, Bernardo has, and Haaland has. Everybody else who's fit and playing has never won a league at City. Everyone. There is no Diaz playing. There is no Rodri playing. Right? They're all out. No Vardial. No Johnny Stones, really. That's the experience in the head. Or you gaze your Semenyo's. This is why they're just having a bit of a wobble or disappearing act. Semenyo's disappeared. because it's a little bit overwhelming. They've not done it. They've not been in a title race. Arsenal, I would argue, most of their team has been in a title race for the last 4 years. They've not won it, but they've been in the race and they know what it's about. So I don't buy this City's experience because, no, Pep's experience, yes. But he kicking the ball, he's not the one doing the back pass. Mark Gay is. You know, it's the lads that have to do it. So I think it's slimmer than it was when we won the league against United in 2011, where at least we had momentum. We won the last 6 games, and you guys at United slipped up at Wigan 1-0, and we beat you 1-0. You know, and the 4-4 with Everton. Those were seismic things that happened at United, where they suddenly dropped 5-6 points, and we caught them and beat them on goal difference on that fateful QPR day. But I don't see that happening this year. I just can't smell it. But I'm not going to say it's over, because it's football, and there's always a chance until there isn't a chance. But it is so slim. It's not over, but it's really close to being over. And it could be done this weekend, because there's no guarantee we beat Brentford. Let's be truthful.
Yes.
Can I just look further down the table? Because I'm looking here at Chelsea with 6 losses in the last 6 games. Sitting in 9th place. They're in danger of not getting any European football next season, aren't they?
Fabulous, isn't it?
Well, they have the cup tie against you. So there could be that. But you look at that and think, there's a bit of a missed story around how badly the season's gone for Chelsea. And
actually, Rodney, can you just remind me, if you win the FA Cup, does that guarantee you into
I think
Europa League?
Europa. Yeah.
Yes.
Right, that might be their get-out clause then.
That becomes a huge game for them, an absolutely huge game for them. But I mean, that is diabolical. No other team in the league, apart from Burnley's had 1 draw and 5 losses in a row. No other team has had 6 defeats in a row. It's shockingly bad form.
You'd have to say City were hot favourites for the FA Cup, surely.
You would,
please. Yeah, I'd be right now. If you gave me 2 cups and the 2nd place, you'd say that's a great rebuilding season, right?
Yeah.
Of course,
that's a great. We're still rebuilding.
You won the Carabao Cup, didn't you? I forgot about that.
Yeah. That's not giving up the league, but the Chelsea one. But listen, how many times have City gone to the cup final and messed it up? Palace last year, no disrespect to Palace, a United team that blew us off the park in the first half the year before, and it wasn't as good a United team as you've got now. And obviously famous games like Wigan in 13. Yeah, we do have an ability. We always have. City do like to let the opposition have a chance. Yeah, we do like this. We do, don't we?
So what you're saying there is there's definitely jeopardy in the league at the moment, but you don't sound terribly confident about winning the league.
No, I'm just head-led about it. But it's not over till it's over.
No,
that last minute goal by. That's what it's like to be City. That's what we sing, isn't it? We have this weird last minute record of some of the highest, most exciting moments in football have been being a City fan. Gillingham, obviously Aguero, Villa. There's you've had your Solskjaer moment in the European Cup. Everyone's had bits of moments, but we seem to have had a few more of these mental comebacks than anybody else. But it just, I don't feel that momentum's on our side. Anyway, I think the relegation is probably the most.
It is
jeopardy. The West Ham and Tottenham one is one way I don't think you could quite call that. So I think that's the one where it's 50-50.
You have to say Tottenham did very well to get that result against Villa.
Very well, really well. 2-1, of course, it was in the league. So their next game is Monday night, and they host Leeds. And then Chelsea, they go away to Chelsea, who are in terrible form, we just talked about. And then their last game of the season is Everton at home. That's not an easy run-in for them.
No.
I think we said this again a week ago, 2 weeks ago. If they could just get one result, the pressure would relieve, and they start to remember that they're actually not as bad as they are.
Well,
they got that result. We got that result against Wolves with the goal in the last 10 minutes to win it 1-0, scraped it, and it's almost like there's been a relief. And then they played properly against Villa.
Well, if you look at West Ham's running, their next game is we just talked about it, but Arsenal at home on
Mm.
Sunday afternoon, 4:30. Then they go to Newcastle on the
Oof.
following Sunday, tough game, and then their last game is hosting Leeds on the Sunday, 24th of May. That's not an easy run in for West Ham. So I would almost call it at the moment. I think West Ham are down. I think Tottenham will just be about safe, but it's squeaky bum time for those teams, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Have you seen the points tallies as well? You know, they always said that it used to be years ago 40 was the safe point, and
Yeah,
that's been dropping if statistically over the years. It was like 35, 34.
yeah,
Well, actually, because they've all been winning, Forest have had like 4 straight league wins or something. Tottenham 2, West Ham have got they've not won every game, but they've had a decent record for the last 10.
yeah,
They're now on 36. Where actually, if
yeah,
you'd have said that 3 or 4 weeks ago, lads, you'd have said,
yeah,
"Oh, that you'll be safe with that."
yeah,
And now they're all winning.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy in the league at the moment. Really is crazy. And then you look at Newcastle, and at one stage Newcastle were challenging for Champions League spot. They had four defeats in a row. They've had two wins in the last six, and they're sitting 13th in the table. Below Sunderland at the moment.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
Bad season, fallen off really badly.
yeah,
So it's been weird. It's been weird. Let's go back to the Champions League games at the during the week.
yeah.
Just as a reminder, so Arsenal pulled off a good win at home against Atletico to go through 2-1 on aggregate, 1-0 on the night. A deserved win. I think they managed the game well.
Very. That was probably. They just absolutely pushed Atletico Madrid. It was claustrophobic for them. They couldn't get out. Apparently, this Atletico Madrid team is one of the most free-flowing goal score. I think second or third highest goal-scoring team in the Champions League. They didn't look like it
Mm.
because Arsenal's. We know their defense is so good, but as much as I'll give a load of banter to Arsenal, you got to call it out when it's good. And Gyökeres, that was the best game I've ever seen him play in an Arsenal shirt. He led that line
Mm.
so
He did.
well,
He did.
so well. Like it was an exemplary number 9 performance. But actually, the press. I mean, I don't. I'm not into the antics on the side. I find it funny. But Arteta and Simeone was worth watching just for them two. But the relentless noise at that place. If you're an Arsenal fan, it would have been wild. But they did it by sheer endeavour and energy and the Declan Rice elements. Even Trossard was tackling 1,000 tackles against the right fullback. They just couldn't breathe. And the goal came from one little moment.
From
It wasn't
Saka.
just one little moment where it
Yeah.
rebounded and he was just a little bit sharper than the defender. But where Arsenal have been so good this season is once they go ahead, did really Atletico look like causing Arsenal a problem? They didn't, did they?
They sort of suffocated them, didn't they? I mean, I got to say, Gyökeres, I think he's pulled the season around, and he's probably not get. You're starting to see a striker that people thought they were going to get initially. He looks sharp now coming into this time of the season.
I don't think he's necessarily going to bang in 30 a season like Haaland. I'm not saying but I don't think Arsenal play that way. But if they want somebody to be relentlessly holding that ball up with power back
Yeah.
to goal, making runs in the channel, it's a big boy, isn't he? He's a big boy. He looks like a rugby player.
He's athletic.
So no, as the way they play, if they can get the best out of him rather than messing around with Havertz, then they are clearly difficult. And if they play anything like that against PSG, they have a chance.
Mm.
The other game, of course, was Wednesday night, and it was going to be very, very hard to live up to the previous game, which ended 5-4 in favour of Paris Saint-Germain in Paris. It was 1-1 on the night, and a Kane 90+4 goal probably saved the blushes for Munich. So, well, actually, no, they didn't. Actually, sorry, Paris Saint-Germain go through, won 6-5 on aggregate. Sorry,
Yeah.
but Kane almost overturned that deficit. I think, to be fair, the right team won overall because Paris Saint-Germain seem to be playing with a lot more panache. They look good.
Yeah, brilliant. Did you watch that one, Rich?
I didn't. I think I was cricket related,
Yeah.
but I saw some controversial incidents regarding handballs and decisions that didn't seem to go Bayern Munich's way. But it must have been frustrating for them really because PSG held on to that 1-0 for most of the game, and yeah, I mean, good old Kane scored at the end like he always does. But interestingly, I read an article where that goal, even though it didn't see Bayern through, that goal apparently could have made a difference for German football per se because apparently the leagues are assessed at the end of the season and given so many places for Europe. And that goal for Bayern may have just moved them up an edge in this way they work it out. That
Okay.
Germany might get an extra team in, an extra club
Yeah,
in
yeah,
those competitions. So bizarrely, Bayern Munich getting that equaliser and Harry Kane might have helped German football all round.
It was his 55th goal of the
Yeah.
season
I
for
felt sorry
Bayern.
for him. I really wanted actually Harry Kane to get to the final.
Yeah,
I really, really did.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've all laughed and joked about Harry Kane, obviously, when he's been a not an
Tottenham
enemy,
player.
not an enemy, but one of our competitors. It's always different, isn't it? So we have a different feel. He's almost representing the English lads when he's in Germany. That's
He
how I
does,
see it.
yeah, yeah.
And because he hasn't won anything, he's been dead loyal for too many years to Tottenham. He's almost affected his own medal cabinet. Let's be truthful. He could have moved a fair few times. He's without doubt the best number 9 in the world. No
Yeah.
doubt. He's ahead of Haaland. He's experienced. His finishings is absolutely unerring. That finish was unbelievable. But his ability to strike a ball in wherever he wants in any corner and the calmness. I just thought on that game though, the fact it was such an early goal, a brilliant goal by PSG, that just gave it almost like took the stuffing out of
Yeah.
Bayern, even though it was really loud there. And the biggest difference was the week before, you felt like Bayern could have kept scoring more.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know, I didn't look at the tactical side if I'm truthful, because I was watching it but not fully attentive on it. But no doubt PSG played a different game plan and frustrated the living daylights out of Bayern. And Elise, who was doing whatever he wanted the week before,
Mm,
nothing came off.
nothing.
Nothing came off. They stifled him. They stopped that free flowing company game. They stopped it.
Well,
And
interestingly, PSG only had about a third of the possession, so 34 versus 66, but they almost equaled them in terms of shots, and they beat them in terms of shots on target. So they were lethal when they had the ball. They
Mm.
smothered the game in some ways, you know. So you got to
You have
say,
to say he's done an amazing job there, hasn't he, Enrique?
oh, totally,
oh,
totally,
back to back, it's not common that you can do back to back. I mean, this is the PSG team that we ridiculed for years with Mbappe and all the money they spent, and all of a sudden they've just switched in 18 months to be the best team in Europe, and deservedly so. Play great football, but the way that they controlled it with the experience at
yeah,
Bayern Munich's ground with that crowd, you don't go there and get a result
no,
very easily, let alone in a semi-final. But the fact that it was a last minute goal for Bayern, it basically kept them out for the game.
Mm.
It was a PSG obviously going as favourites for the final, but would you say the best two teams overall? I think you've got to say yes. People would say
yes,
it was Bayern Munich, but let's remember again. Let's be fair to Arsenal, unbeaten, won every game, haven't they?
Yeah.
Or one draw in one of the two leggers. They won every group game, including they beat Bayern in the group stages 3-1. So you'd say Arsenal rightly second favourites. So we have got the top two teams.
Do you think they'll work their way out to beat PSG?
They're going to need some luck. They're going to need to play ferociously, and if they get a chance, they're going to need to score it. They're going to need
Mm.
to be, set pieces. I'm not saying it's all about the corners because it's not. It could be a free kick. It could have. If they get 3 chances, they're going to have to score 2. It's got to be one of them and defend and hit PSG and miss a few. But that happens in football. That happens in football. But I don't think it'll be necessarily. What do you do? Do you sit deep against PSG, or do you press them? Because if you
it,
press them, they can pick you off. So they've got to work out how he's going to attack it. But if anybody can defend and shut out a team, it's Arsenal, isn't it?
yeah.
They're the only team that could. It's not going to be a free flowing game. It's going to be a zillion tackles. Would be my
Mm.
take, and we'll
I
see.
just hope it doesn't go to penalties or something like that. I hope it's won by either team properly.
Well, look, I don't think anybody cares when it comes to the medal. I agree with that. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I want PSG to win. I'm not. I'm not. I don't want Arsenal winning it, but they're in the final. They're in the final. You've got to respect that.
Set your clocks, your alarms for Saturday the 30th. Of course, it's a Saturday, isn't it, nowadays, at 5 o'clock. Where's the game being played? Anybody know?
Budapest.
Budapest, okay.
Budapest.
And then in the other competitions in Europe, last night, Villa were playing Forest. It was 1-0. Forest had the lead from the first game. Villa absolutely romped home 4-0 on the night. I think it was 3 goals in the second half killed the game.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely just showed their domination over Forest, and also Freiburg went through, so it'll be Freiburg versus Villa in that final. And well done, you got to say, the Palace. Shakhtar Donetsk, they beat them 2-1 on the night, 5-2 in aggregate. That means they set up a UEFA Conference League final against Rayo Vallecano. That'll be a very interesting game, and
Unai Emery won that competition with Seville, I think, 4 years in a row.
That's right. You're right.
Incredible.
Yep, you're absolutely
So
right.
I do hope he brings Villa some silverware. That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
So,
isn't it funny though? That's where did your attitude change there, lads? So I don't want Arsenal to win that, but I'll have my Villa and Crystal Palace shirts on for the other two. It's funny.
you know, this has been something I've picked up this season. Is there's not an awful lot of Arsenal love out there, especially in the northwest of England. And amongst the Manchester United fan base, even though you are our city rivals, if you like, Dom, the dislike for Arsenal probably out trumps in some ways yourselves, and it's not so far behind where it would be for Liverpool.
Well, Dom knows that Arsenal's Champions League and league out trumps FA Cup and Carabao Cup. So
correct. It's true, isn't it? It's about the pecking order. The Champions League is the pinnacle of, the rarity to win that. Of course, the title is immense as well. But every time somebody wins the Champions League, everyone's in tears. There's a reason for that. It's once in a lifetime stuff. I mean, how many amazing teams? Vinny Company, can we just say, how well does he interview? I mean, in that disappointment of getting beat, that boy is so eloquent. Gee, honestly, what a man.
Right, let's look at the fixtures for the weekend because for once there's no Friday night games. The big game is Liverpool versus Chelsea at 12:30. I can't see anything but a Liverpool win there. Rich, I'm going to ask you again, but you think Slot is safe for next season?
Well, I was watching my son play cricket when we played you. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And the guy next to me in the camp chair said, "Oh, United are 2-0 up now," and I was just like, shaking my head like, "Oh, God." And then, just after Oscar got a wicket later on in the match, he said to me, "Oh, more good news. Liverpool's 2-2." I went, "You're joking."
I know.
Because I was ignoring the vibrations in my pocket, thinking, I daren't look. And then 2-2.
That's another story.
And then 2-2, I thought, do you know what? There's plenty of time left in this game. We could go on and win this.
Aye.
But unfortunately, however, so when I looked at the commentators and the Carragers afterwards, even though they got back into that game, no one seemed to like the performance. I think your son went instead of you, didn't he, Rodney?
No,
did he? Yes, he did actually. He did. I wasn't able to go that day.
But they didn't seem to be pretty. They didn't seem to be very enamored with Liverpool's energy. Isak injured again, by the way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that it's the Alonso. What's Alonso? It's what he decide. Will they be scared of losing the chance of Alonso? That's the problem.
Yeah.
But my gut feeling is that they'll still carry on with Arne Slot. Actually,
not the Liverpool way, but it's not the Liverpool way, Rich, to hire and fire quickly.
No,
even if there's been pressure on a Brendan Rodgers or a Gerard Houllier or whatever it's been in the past, they don't give up on him quickly. I don't know what the average lifespan of a manager at Liverpool is, but I would imagine it's like 4 seasons at least.
Yes.
So there is normally a consistency there, but it depends on the ownership as well, whether they've got a different outlook on it. But you're right, it's the Alonso impact. But let's be honest, they've got to keep quiet until the end of the season if they're running it correctly. Things will be going on in the background. It's either Slot's staying and they need to come out and say that and back him like as soon as the end of the season, or he goes immediately by mutual consent the day after the last game, and you announce Alonso quick, and all things happen fast. It's one or the other, isn't it?
I mean, it looks like. I mean, I think if we beat Chelsea, which would be hot favourites for, that should guarantee us, I think, Champions League football, even if it came off the rails the last 2 games. So a big 3 points for Liverpool this game. Can't afford any blips. We need to get 3 points in the bag, and I think, Rodney, that probably will guarantee us Champions League, or maybe we might need a point or so. I don't know.
I think well, you're sitting in fourth place on 58 points. Villa are fifth place with 58 points. Then there's a gap to Bournemouth of 6 points. So I think a win will guarantee you Champions League, automatic Champions League qualification. But I think there is this doubt hanging over Slot, and I think it could be down to whether the club believes if Alonso is available, it's just too good an opportunity to turn down. And I know you're right. Liverpool have a certain way of dealing with management changes, but I think it could be the case of is the opportunity to bring somebody else in too great at the moment. I know I was going to ask you, but maybe it's time for another one, which is, he brought some players in this season because he inherited last season more of Klopp's side. I mean, would you say his actual buys have worked out for him this season?
Well, it's difficult to say. Are they his buys? I'm never quite sure.
True.
But, are they his buys, or they're the buys that he's told that are happening? And he got got Ekitike out now for going to be a long time with this Achilles. Obviously, Isak, they're going to hope to get fit and raring to go for the beginning of the season, but still question marks. They're probably going to have to buy another striker or two. They're going to have to sort out the defense. What's happening with Konate's contract? Van Dijk, I think he's got another year left, but questions over him all the time. They've got the young Italian lad that got injured at the beginning of the season. He'll obviously be coming back fit. It's going to be a tricky season. The purchases in the summer will be crucial. But having Champions League football is so important because look at Chelsea. They're in no man's land. At least it's not as bad as that.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because obviously it's the banter and the rivalry, but also strategically, you do want Chelsea missing out on stuff because when they miss out on Europe and they end up in a financial mess, right? You want other big clubs who are historical challengers to be going through trouble because it just means there's more opportunity to be in those Champions League spaces. Imagine if the Chelsea were right at it now and they'd actually got some proper management and spent the money correctly. Then there'd be a real fight for this Champions League, wouldn't there? Right? Yeah. But because they're out, it creates more opportunity for Villas, not so much pressure on Liverpool. So I think you always want we would look and go, Liverpool are in transition. I think it's fair to say you are. We could look. This is probably a conversation for the cap at the end of the season about how our clubs have done. But you look at your signings, and if I'm honest, if I said the two fullbacks, no one's pulled up trees. I'm not saying they're bad players, but Frimpong and the lad from Bournemouth, neither of them have pulled up trees. Isak was a terrible timing of purchase, and then his injury. So we can't even judge that. He's like a long-term investment. Ekitike has definitely been good, and Wirtz has been an absolute overspend. He's not a bad player, but it's an overspend.
He was missing in the game against us, actually.
He's missing in every game. He's not top draw.
I've written down here, and I'm just looking back at my notes from the end. Are Liverpool suffering an identity crisis? Because you had under Klopp, you had a very clear template. You had a very clear rock and roll football, we called it. And it feels like you've been shifting more to a more ticky-tacky type of game. And is it now the time for your board to commit to slot and commit to that transition, or are they going to get cold feet and think, actually, no, we need to swap out? Because
Yeah.
it's not easy to transition from different footballing styles within even a couple of seasons.
No, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Xavi Alonso, if he was brought in, there'd be a hell of a lot of buzz and excitement back at Liverpool. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention we're playing with our third choice goalkeeper at the
I know
moment,
you are. Yes, you are.
Freddie
What's going on
Woodman.
there?
Well, because of course Allison is, you know, injury prone for the last several
Yeah,
years. But we
there he
had
is.
we had Kelleher before, and but then the Hungarian goalkeeper is injured, and then this young lad, Freddie Woodman, who's come in. I
Woodman?
don't think he's made any mistakes, by the way,
No.
uh, really. Um, so I mean,
You've had
there's rumors.
injuries.
Yeah, there's rumors that Allison once has been offered a contract at Juventus, which might be a last hurrah for him. That'd be really sad to see him go. But if he's injured all the time.
Well, let's get back to the weekend's fixtures again. So just coming up
Oh, and
Saturday.
also Don wanted to mention the ladies' league. We haven't spoken about that.
Yeah, well,
And what?
let's just come back to that. So
Yeah,
I think we've probably talked about the Sunday fixtures. Crystal
Yeah,
Palace, Everton will be interesting. Forest Newcastle could be interesting, and then West Ham host Arsenal. West Ham fighting for the lives. You said, Dom, that could be the big game. Basically, if they slip up there, could be a chance. Could be a chance. And let's
yeah,
just talk, let's move on. Actually, the big game in Glasgow
oh
in
yes.
on Celtic versus Rangers. I mean,
Oof.
I think potentially the league is done for Rangers there. It's now Celtic versus Hearts, but Rangers could do Hearts a big favour there.
Yeah, massive.
Massive favour. Let's go back to the women's football because I have to say this season more than any has been, I think, a real revelation and really women's football's come to the fore. More people are talking about it, and your team was in action, Dom, in midweek. Is that right?
yeah, yeah. Um, well, no, we won last weekend with a 1-0 result against Liverpool. But we froze. Got beat by Brighton last week. Remember, all we needed was one win. We've been miles ahead for weeks. We blew up against Brighton, and then we got a last-minute win, a really soft goal, to be truthful. But got over the line with a win, and then it meant that Arsenal, who we'd all assume were going to win every game, just because of the way they've been playing, then had a disastrous week. They got knocked out in the semi-finals of the Champions League second leg when they were ahead.
Mm.
So they blew that. I didn't blow it because Leon are a good team, but Arsenal would have been favourites for that. And so that they're out of that, massive disappointment. And then they go away to Brighton and get a draw, which meant that City won it whilst not playing.
That's right.
It's always a bit of an anticlimax. But anyway, they deserve it. The first time they've won it in 10 years because Chelsea have dominated. And they're rightly the champions. But they've had an advantage of had no European football. So in that league, when the Arsenals and the Chelseas and the Uniteds who were in Champions League spots this year it's very difficult for the women's game. They don't have the same depth in squads. So, like if you look at the table, United have just capitulated in the last 2 months because they just don't have the legs and energy to be able to cope with the Champions League campaign and domestic football. The squads aren't big enough. So
Yeah.
that's where the women's game is a bit of a crossroads, to be truthful, which is almost a podcast of its own. Which is the league's got to be bigger. They're adding more this season, this summer. There'll be another 2 teams, so there's more fixtures, which is really important because the problem you have is if you're trying to make bigger squads to cope, there's not enough games for them to. But there's only 22 league games, lads, rather than 38.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it means if there's only 22 and you've got a squad of 16, you have some very unhappy players because you really don't get a kick very
No.
often at all, right? So I think expanding the league and all those things is really important. So they've won it. I mean, at least we've got one league title, and it's been coming. There've been a couple of times they've choked in the last few years where they should have beat Chelsea and then slipped up. That has happened. But yeah, worthy winners of the title. The only thing is, a bit of a sour taste. We still haven't finished the season. And the rumour mill is really rife this week that Bunny Shaw, the centre forward, the best striker in the world, is not going to renew a contract. They've not done a deal with City. They won't pay the money. And she's off to Chelsea. And that is a problem in the women's game, which is who's going to pay the money? and they move around way more often than the lads do.
Mm.
Like literally a couple of years, you'll find a top player, and they're moving around. So to create a legacy and a consistency that we're used to in the men's game, where there's a project for 5 years to win titles, I feel that City have got that wrong. Sorry, because if that is going to happen, you're letting the best striker in the world go when you've just got Champions League football. It's like us winning the league and then selling Haaland to Arsenal. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so I'm a bit like, well, what? This is where the women's game has got to be better and more aggressive with its budgets, but it's certainly getting better, and there's more depth in the leagues. That's the most important thing. But it's got some work to do. Because I'm super disappointed if that happens. Because you go, well, where's the project there? How are you going to replace that?
So it definitely is getting a lot more attention, Dom. The women's game overall, it can only be good. But I think that means because they're trying to expand it. Am I right in saying that currently Leicester, who are sitting bottom, having lost the last 6 games, sitting bottom in that league, they wouldn't go down, or would they go down into
playoff?
It's a playoff.
So they get the league below.
Yes.
The two of them come up. The bottom team in the WSL gets a lifeline to play the third place team in the other one. It's how the playoffs actually began. Do you remember years ago in the men's game? That's how the playoffs began. It used to be not 3 up, 3 down when they tried to change the size of the Premier League. It used to be more teams. It used to be 22 and it dropped to 20.
Oh.
They did a similar thing. I'm probably talking about early 90s. But yeah, that's how it works. So Leicester will get a chance to stay up if they can beat the team who finished third. But they've got to expand the league. So I know it sounds like, well, there's no jeopardy to go down. They've got to get the league bigger. So yeah, actually, for a few years, the risk of going down is a little less difficult than normal.
But you got to feel for Leicester City. They're sitting at the bottom of the table. They've only got 9 points, and that was 2 wins and a draw, and they've lost 16.
Wow.
And they've lost the last 6 games in a row. I mean, that just doesn't get any more demoralizing as a team, does it?
Well, that's where there is. If you think there's a gap between the men's championship coming into the Premiership, the women's game is bigger because half of them have only just turned pro.
Yes,
well, because they're all, there's not the budget; it's the semi-pro. So you can just hang on in there for the first season and not get relegated. But if you look at the teams that have come up over the years, it's your Tottenhams are struggling, your West Hams are struggling. Teams with maybe some collateral. The only one that breaks the mold is the London Lionesses, who are a privately owned, mega rich owner who's thrown a crazy amount of money at it to get them mid-table.
And I think aren't they winning the League Two?
No,
they won it last year, and then they've gone into the WSL this year, and they've managed to springboard on. Yeah, because they're in London, number one, so there's a pull there, and they've brought in a load of players who they can pay the wages to because they've got the budget for it. But loads of the clubs don't have. They're all just working jobs. They're like, it's no different to playing men's, less than National League for most of the girls.
Actually, talking about promotion and narrowly missing out and all that, Wrexham. Going back to the men, they narrowly missed out by, I think it was 2-2 with Middlesbrough on the last day. Yep. So that dream of successive promotions will have to wait another year, won't it? Now
2 points a difference, hey? 2 points and a few goals. Can I just can we round up then? And I want to bring it back to the Champions League final when it's going to be Arsenal versus PSG. This is possibly the ultimate game of defense versus attack, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it'll be low scoring. It's going to be in it, and that's not a disrespectful comment to Arsenal. It's how the game needs to be. If it opens up, they're in trouble. So they've got to keep it tight and have the game of their lives.
Yeah, I think the goalkeeper's important, and also Saka coming back from injury and looking like he's on form. That could be crucial. Raya being in goal could be key.
Gerrard was quoted this week though, when he's saying that you never say never. Liverpool went into that AC Milan game as heavy underdogs, 3-0 down at half time.
Yeah.
Right. So, again, this is why we love the game.
And just talking about loving the game, I saw Trout Pedro's goal against Forest on, what was it? It was Monday. And a beautiful goal, overhead whopper. And, you sort of think it's a pity it wasn't a goal that wins a game. It was a goal that gives you, well, you lose the game 3-1. But also Doku against you, you're against Everton. He was immense, Dom.
Yeah. When he's like that, he's like Vinny Jr. or
That
better.
late curler that he scored was
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah. Both of his goals. Yeah, it gives us a look. It gives us a tiny, tiny chance for Sunday. We sit and pray. We put the lucky pants on. We make sure we don't go over. We don't see any crows, and we don't go under any ladders. We just got to just sit tight and hope that everything somehow falls our way. It's unlikely, but just never say never.
And before we go, also, we talk about sometimes rugby being the brutal, violent sport with, but did you see Morgan Gibbs White injury with the stitches on his forehead?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Rodney, he's been left with he's going to have a really nasty scar. Fair play to him. It's all stitched up, but I would say
Which game was this, Richard? The game against Chelsea?
Clash of Heads, was it, or something?
It was a clash of heads, yeah. It wasn't, obviously, he was on the bench against the other night against Villa, but he was still recovering, really. His forehead is all stitched. Really nasty, isn't it, Dom? Looking
no.
injury.
It looks like it's like a road traffic accident. It looks like he's been smacked beyond belief. He's got two black eyes and probably broke his nose, and he's got this massive scar.
Oof,
he looks a man. Yeah, he looked terrible.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, I guess the question is going to be, was the Blue Monday of last week and City's draw, is it going to mean it's a blue, not a blue season, it's going to be a red season? That's the where we're going to be. You're not too blue, Mr. Bars. I think you're feeling settled. I think the season has settled you somewhat.
Well, no, I think he made a good point that if they win the FA Cup and the League Cup and come second, that's still a pretty good season. It's not probably what they wanted, but 2 trophies, if that's how it ends up, is still 2 more trophies in the cabinet, isn't it?
Oh,
You can't ever. The danger is probably because I'm an older City fan. I'm used to. I do remember losing a lot, and you just got to enjoy it for what it is, and the journey and the ride. You can't guarantee winning. At some point, we might go years not winning anything, and you just got to enjoy. You got to savor it, enjoy it. We're very lucky to have a team that's got good backers, finance, good players. Get to watch some great stuff, and we challenge. Let's talk about your Sheffield Wednesday fans. And actually, did anybody notice that last week? They got bought, right? I look at those teams, right? They got bought on that last game. Did you see the crowd?
Yes.
Did you see the crowd? 32,500 people. The biggest attendance in the Championship for the season in any team, for a team that finished with 0 points.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that... let's bow our caps to Sheffield Wednesday fan base because they've been through the mill more than any of us can even imagine. And my goodness, I hope that it goes well for them next season and they bounce back, because that's how football is, momentum. Let's hope they can actually start to recover and do what Coventry City have done, because
they've also found out they're not getting any points deduction either.
Yes, no points deduction.
Deducted 12 points for entering administration and 6 points for breaches for payment obligations. So that's why they're on 0 points.
0.0 is the official. I think that obviously is because
that's
of the
where they are in the league currently. 0 points, minus 60 goals.
Yeah, but what they said
2 games all season, and they drawn 12, and they've lost 32 games in the season.
But what they found out is that there's not going to be any further points deduction. I think I'm right.
Yeah, that's right.
Next season.
Yeah,
it doesn't roll into the next season. Yeah.
Yeah. So well done, Wednesday fans. Good on you.
There you go. Right. Well done to you guys. Lovely to speak to you. That's another Theatre of Dreams extra time. Wherever you're watching your football today, Saturday, enjoy it. We will be back next week. It's getting close to the end. Then we've got the World Cup. But there we go. More on that later.
Are we going to be doing maybe a trip for that one? Or can we do a resort base? Like when the commentators. Are we basing ourselves in New York, or I mean, where are we going?
Oh, I tell you what, though.
I'm packed and ready for the flight, lads.
I reckon we'll have to have sun lamps. I'll be sitting where I am just with a sun lamp on me.
Look, we need to lock that in before I get a phone call from Prime or something. Just remember, so you know.
We'll our people will talk to your people, and we'll be all right. Right. Enjoy your football wherever you're watching it today. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.